The fastest way to heal after a breakup with a dismissive avoidant is not moving on or rebounding. It's about moving inward to actually rewire the story that kept you chasing distance to begin with and made that distance feel comfortable. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the major things that we can do in order to heal after a breakup or disconnection with an avoidant. We'll talk most importantly about the exact causes that led you to that space to begin with, because truly that was the first issue, is not what happened with you in that relationship or after. Of course, there can be challenges within those types of relationships that can be difficult, but truly it's what's going on in your ability to trust yourself, what's the deal with your boundaries and your needs, and how can you make sure that you become somebody who doesn't feel safe in chasing. And my hope for you is that by the end of this video, you're going to feel like you know exactly what to do in these types of scenarios and exactly how to heal so that you stop repeating them. So here's the first thing that I'm curious about. I am curious about you, and I'm going to walk you through this exercise here for just a moment. But I want you to ask yourself, when I was with this person in a relationship, what feelings did I most often feel? And I want you to just take a really honest look. Did you feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of, worry around uncertainty? Did you feel low-level fear? Did you feel insecurity? Did you feel loneliness or sadness or hurt? Did you feel anger or frustration or resentment? Like, I want you to really think about what you were feeling. You can pause if you need to really, consider. But when you feel like you're clear, I then want to ask you this. What within you has become comfortable enough with those feelings to stay in that situation so long unquestioned? In other words, usually what happens for all of us is that according to your conditioning, your subconscious mind wants to latch on to things that feel familiar because it equates familiarity to safety and thus survival. And so a lot of times we chase things that are unhealthy because they feel familiar to us. So what's your earliest point of familiarity? Why was it okay for you to stay in a situation so long that felt so difficult? Okay. And by the way, I want to be mindful. I'm not like demonizing avoidance. Lots of dismissive avoidants show up and do the work, and the ones that do thrive, and they're absolutely incredible. And they truly show up and they do a great job. But of course, just like with any attachment style, the really most important question is, are they doing the work? Because if they're not, it becomes a hard relationship, right? It becomes very, very difficult to be stonewalled or to feel like there's somebody being hot and cold or intermittently reinforcing. So that really is the deal breaker there. I want to go into the second part here. I'm curious, what were some of your biggest unmet needs in the relationship with this person? Okay, so whether it was a relationship, a situationship, you were just dating the person, what were some of your biggest unmet needs? And I'll give you some examples here, and I want you to write them out. Okay, so maybe they were things like you didn't feel seen or heard. You didn't feel like you were a priority. You didn't feel wanted. You didn't feel like somebody was present with you. You didn't feel like somebody, was really honoring your feelings and your needs in general. You didn't feel like you could really talk openly with this person or be vulnerable. You didn't feel like you had emotional connection to this person. Okay, so there could be a lot of things in here, but I want you to pick the ones that stand out the most. Okay, and you can pause the video for a second if you need to. And then my question for you is, from 1 to 10, how good are you at meeting these needs yourself? If you, didn't have the sense of validation or encouragement, how validating or encouraging are you to yourself from 1 to 10? And what you will find, literally like clockwork, is we chase people for breadcrumbs where we are starving ourselves. So, you'll see over and over again that you will chase for validation. If you're somebody who's really self-critical and you have no healthy sources of validation, of course you chase for validation. Of course you accept breadcrumbs because you're starving. I want you to really look at this. And the remedy for this, truly, I promise you, the emotional immunity to ever being in this situation again, is that you need to learn how to meet your own needs. Okay, it's something securely attached people do well. It's one of our 6 pillars to healing your attachment style and literally rewiring it. Is you need to have daily habitual actions and behaviors so that you get repetition and emotion, because repetition and emotion are what fire and wire our neural pathways. You have to have daily repetitive behaviors where you meet your own needs. And at first, it's going to feel mechanical. At first, it's going to feel like, oh, I have to meet my own needs. Okay, this doesn't feel that great. It's not that exciting. It feels nicer when somebody else meets them. Just like the first time you sit in a car and try to drive and learn how to do it, it doesn't feel good. It's a little scary. There's a learning curve, and there's a conscious part of this that has to take shape. You're like looking in your rearview mirrors, looking over your shoulder, looking in your blind spot. You're steering between the lines, you're turning your signal on. There's a million things to keep track of, and it feels mechanical. And then you do it enough times through repetition, and it gets conditioned into your subconscious mind. And then fast forward 3 months after driving, you're like listening to your favorite podcast, or you're listening to the radio or music, and you're able to do other things during this process because it's been conditioned into your subconscious mind. By the way, if you didn't already know this, this, we literally experience a learning curve until things get conditioned into us. And that's when the learning curve goes away, is when we start to feel more comfortable with them. And the same process will apply when you learn to meet your own needs. And you have to do it and stick to it, or else you're going to stay starved of those needs, comfortable being starved of those needs. And then you're willing to keep your standards low because your standards for how you treat yourself are low. And then you accept breadcrumbs. And then we keep this cycle alive. Now, I have two other really important points I want to cover here with you, and sort of a third bonus, okay, that will really help. Here's an exercise for you, is I want you to audit where you abandoned your truth. I want you to really look at where you abandoned your inner voice, your signals, and I want you to look at all the places that you pretended things were okay for you and they weren't, or you self-silenced instead of speaking up. And I want you to ask yourself truly, like, where are all the places that I did this? And again, you can pause this video and you can really journal these things out. And I want you to get really clear about this. And when you've done this, I want you to make a commitment to stop doing this. And this means that you have to set micro commitments that you can keep for yourself daily instead. So for example, if you were like, yeah, I knew pretty early on that there was a red flag with this person, or that something wasn't okay, and I pretended that it was because I was just scared to be alone or scared to lose the person, and it felt comfortable to chase or people please. What is the micro commitment that you're going to keep going forward? It may be that you're going to vet better when you're dating. It may be that you're going to ask hard questions. Or if you don't see healthy dynamics, let's say you want to have a hard conversation, you're 2-3 months into dating somebody and the person's unwilling to talk through something with you, you're going to tell the person that's unacceptable. That's a non-negotiable. To have a healthy dynamic, we need to be able to have hard conversations sometimes. So I want you to think about, and you can almost do it in columns, like put one column down your page where all the places that I betrayed my own trust. I pretended things were fine when they weren't. I ignored red flags. I self-silenced. I didn't speak up. Like, I want you to really write those things out. It might be a little bit confronting at first. And in a column next to it, I want you to write out what you are going to commit to doing instead going forward. Okay, really important. Before I go into number 4, I just want to say, if you really want to do some in-depth healing around these things, we have a codependency and enmeshment, which is usually a root cause of why you end up chasing avoidance, by the way, course that you can check out fully for free and actually keep for life. It's a free gift. It's a giveaway. We've never done this course before. We're doing it for just a few days, and we haven't done this. It's literally a gift, like a promotion. You get to keep it. It's valued at $250. You get to keep it for free for life. And with that, you also get a 7-day free trial access to all of PDS at the same time. So if you want help and support, that course will really help you. If you struggle with emotional overfunctioning, if you struggle with keeping your boundaries, honoring your truth, not self-silencing, the course will really go into all of the reasons why this happens and what you can do instead. And I'll put the link for free for you below. And the last couple of pieces in here, and they really go hand in hand, are you need to also know your boundaries. Okay, we go into depth in that in the codependency course. You need to know what your actual boundaries are, and you need to know how to communicate them, okay, which is that last piece. And communicating your boundaries, if you're a good communicator, and we call this healthy assertiveness, this is almost like assertiveness training. And again, you'll see this in the codependency course, but we talk about how true assertiveness is really about having extremely strong language in a very regulated tone. Here's why. If I raise my voice to be assertive and I'm just angry, then you just hear that I'm yelling right at you. If I am too nice and I'm trying to be assertive and I say, oh, please, do you mind? Can you please respect this boundary? I hope that's okay with you if you don't mind too much. If I tiptoe around it, then you think it's not really a boundary. You don't even hear a boundary being set. But if you say something like, hey, just so you know, exactly what happened in this situation is completely unacceptable and it can never happen again between us. Are we clear? As soon as you're speaking that way and you're very strong in your language, but you're very regulated in your tone, like I'm just speaking as if speaking to you right now in this way, that hybrid approach there where you have very strong language and a very regulated tone, that in particular is what is called healthy assertiveness. And it's a part of healthy assertiveness training so that you can be good at it. Okay. So it really goes a very long way in terms of honoring yourself in future relationships, honoring your standards, your needs, your boundaries. All of these things are absolutely important. And I guess my last sort of bonus question here for you is, do you know what your non-negotiables are? Do you know what your standards are? And those are important things to find out as well, so you know not to repeat this cycle going into the next situation. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe to this channel. I hope you did enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video as well if you are a subscriber and part of the community. And thanks for watching.